Great to be with everybody. I wish I could see you all. I always love the interaction, and I know that you're probably on mute and not on cameras, but I want to talk to you about something today that I think is critically important to all of us. And in our businesses and the time we're going through right now, where there's lots of questions about, what's happening in the virus and are we susceptible? The title, and I sent this over to Austin, and you can see on my PowerPoint, like it's not formatted. The format didn't come across great, but inner swagger is supposed to be one word across. But I want to share with you how to unleash your inner swagger. And when you think about swagger, a lot of people think it's about bragging or about talking a big game. To me, that's not what it's about. Maybe that's the outer swagger, but your inner swagger is that ability to have rock solid confidence no matter what's going on around you. And if you think about that, that is going to be one of the critical factors that decides your success in this business. Because are you going to face people that are going to question what you're doing? Are you going to have people that you talk to that aren't going to immediately fall in line with your beliefs? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, you might have already run into someone today. This morning, I was talking to somebody about a project that, I'll be working on, and they were questioning it. And they were coming up with, reasons why it probably, wasn't going to work or wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. And it was great, right? I didn't mind being in that conversation. Now, at a certain point, I had to kind of shut it down and said, okay, great. I heard what you had to say. I'm still committed. I have to move on. But inner swagger is a term that I first heard in relationship to somebody talking about my son. And also, do you know the next slide? Now, this is another slide that didn't format very well. My son looks like the character on Game of Thrones, a little midget here, but at this time, you see he's holding a basketball. That's my son, and on the PowerPoint I had, it was formatted where it looked like a normal little kid. But he, at this time, he was probably, 2-3 years old, and he had a little basketball. And it was interesting because basketball was not the first sport that he really ended up playing, but this is a picture that I found of him with a basketball. He was a really good soccer player. And he got to the point where when he was probably 12 years old, he had been playing competitive soccer. His older sister was a very good player. She ended up playing on some USA teams and that type thing. But at 12 years old, he was progressing and really getting some notice and some acclaim. And he got a letter in the mail. I still remember it. And we opened it. And it was from the Olympic Development Program. And they wanted him to try out for the Southern California program for the Olympic Development team. And, it was quite an honor. He'd done well, got invited to that. And I still remember him looking at the letter and then looking at me and my wife and telling us he didn't want to play soccer anymore. And we're like, what? You don't want to play soccer anymore? Come on, you've done great. People are, they're saying, you've got a lot of potential. He goes, no, I don't want to play soccer anymore. I want to be a basketball player. And now at that point in time, he hadn't done that much with basketball. Yeah, you got the little picture here you can see, but he wasn't a great basketball player. He wasn't. And so, we tried to talk him out of it, but he was just so firm in that I love basketball. And so we said, all right, you play basketball. And so I got him on. He'd been on one of the top soccer teams. I got him on, he tried out for and made one of the better teams in San Diego for basketball. But he went from being the number one guy on the soccer team to being at the end of the bench on his basketball team. And I still remember going to his games and, he would hardly get in. He would hardly play. And for most people, when you're not experiencing success, you lose your commitment, right? You question things. You say, am I good enough? But this kid, he never did that. And he just started working and getting, his skill level up to the next level and the next level and the next level. And it didn't matter to him that someone was better than him. It was weird. He just like, he would go in and he would compete. He would not be quite as good. And then he'd come back the next day and still fall a little short, but he just kept grinding and going at it. And funny enough, he ended up being a really good basketball player. And I'll talk a little bit about that in just a second. But also, if you go to the next slide, this is another one that didn't format too well. I found this probably about 6 months ago, but this is something he wrote back when he was, I'm guessing he was probably 13 or 14 years old. And I don't know if you can read that, but I found it in his closet. He was off at school. He's college, not getting his MBA now. And we were going through some stuff because we moved about a year ago, and I found this, and I just took a photo of it. But this was something he wrote down on his own, and you can kind of see some of the things he was telling himself. But when he wrote this, he wasn't that good. He wasn't near as good as what he was telling himself here. It was what he wanted to grow into. It was that inner swagger. And, you know, so I got invited to Phenom Camp. I find my teammates for open looks. That's passing, you know, just lots of different things. You know, I have a chiseled body. He was so skinny and wimpy back then. GPA is 4.0. Earned $1,000 because we challenged him. I challenged him when he was 14 years old. So this wasn't even all just about basketball. Some of them, you know, I'm clutch under pressure. That's about basketball. But earned $1,000. I challenged him to start a business when he was 13 or 14. And he did. He had this little business that he ran off eBay where he made, you know, thousands of dollars. Shares, I challenged him to be an investor. He studied Warren Buffett. I challenged him to give to charity. But his inner swagger was built not by me, but by him kind of like challenging himself to go to the next level. And this was a 13, 14-year-old kid. So anyways, the inner swagger story, and this is not all going to be about my son, but I just am using an example of how we all can have this inner swagger, even when, and especially when we're not at the top of the game. That's when you got to have it. Top of the game, it's a lot easier. But as you're building your business, you need to have the inner swagger right now. And I still remember we were, my son was playing for an AAU team or a club team. It's kind of the level where you start to get some recognition from college scouts. And he was playing for a very good team. And he'd actually gotten really good at this point in time, but he's still this skinny little, you know, white kid, not super tall, not impressive just from the look test. And I was at one of his practices up in LA, and they had, you know, all these really, you know, highly recruited players. All these coaches were watching, and my son was out there, and he was kicking butt. And this one coach came up to me, and he stood next to me, and he was an African-American guy, a really great guy. But I still remember what he said to me. He said, you know, when I first saw your son, and I saw he's on this team, I'm like, what's this kid doing out here? He just didn't look the part. He didn't look like he was going to be able to play at this level. He said, then I saw him play. And he said, your son has the highest level of inner swagger. He said he's not talking a lot, like bragging, but when he gets out there, he just plays at a level. You can tell his confidence is rock solid. He's not going to back down from anybody. And then go to the next slide, please, Austin. And so my son, who was this kid that no one knew, and my wife and I were questioning, did he make even the right decision, you know, sports-wise, switching from soccer to basketball, ended up playing at a very, very high level. This was his freshman year playing at the University of Kansas. Kansas was ranked #1 in the country at the time, and we almost beat him. Now, my son played for Harvard. We didn't beat him. We lost by 6, but a couple minutes left playing the #1 team in the country. And my son was just bawling out that game. You know, he's on ESPN, and he just loves the pressure. So enough about my son. Let's look at some other people. Let's go to the next slide. Who are some other people that have inner swagger? Now, I would love to ask and get feedback like, who is this? Who knows who this person is? If you guessed Oprah Winfrey, next slide, please, Austin, you're right. But look at Oprah Winfrey's life. How many of you would love to have Oprah Winfrey's life? Think about it. She's a billionaire. She's got homes all over the world, private jets, everything that, you know, most people go, whoa, I want that, acclaim. She's helping so many people. She's a legend. She'll be remembered far after she's actually left this planet. How many would want that kind of life? Sure, you all want that, or at least parts of it, right? But would you really want her life? Like, would you want her life when she was a child, a 8, 9, 10-year-old child being abused by 3 people in her family? Would you want her life when she was 13 or 14 years old and she's pregnant and has a stillborn baby? Would you want her life when she's failing in school and she's got no support because her mother can't really take care of her and her grandmother's overwhelmed? No, you probably wouldn't want any of that. And then there was somebody that helped change her story, that got her back on track, because this was a kid that was going down the track that unfortunately too many people do, where success is really not even an option. And she was sent to live with her dad, and she was skipping school, and he said, look, you're better than this. He said, you are amazing. You've got incredible talent, but you got to start tapping into it. And he started to give her the seeds for her to build her inner swagger. And those seeds, because of this other person, and we're in a business where we have to not only build our own inner swagger, we have to plant the seeds in other people as leaders, because they're coming up against lots of questions and roadblocks. And with Oprah, her dad planted solid seeds, but also she had to pick up that inner swagger. And by the end of high school, she not only was getting straight A's, she got a scholarship, academic scholarship to university, and also started appearing on local TV. She had a TV show that it started off as a talk show that was, kind of the ones like back in the day where it was all this drama and, weird stuff and trying to get ratings. And then she had enough inner swagger to say, you know what, not going to do that anymore. I'm going to make it about positive news. I'm going to lift people up. And she made a huge switch that a lot of people told her, don't do. That's not the right business for you. You'll fail. Just do what everyone else is doing. And she made the switch, and she became, as you all know, because you probably have seen her show back then, incredibly successful. Then she did something else. She said, I'm going to stop doing this show. I'm going to create my own network. People said, whoa, 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 what are you doing? But she had that inner swagger. There were so many people that were telling her, don't do it. And then guess what happened when she started her own network? It didn't succeed at first. It didn't even look like it was going to succeed. But she kicked in her inner swagger again, just like you're going to have to, over and over and over again. And now Own Network, this network that she started several years ago, is a reason she is a billionaire. Now, she was successful before that, but that's the reason she's a billionaire. And the network's awesome, but that network could have easily failed, just like our businesses and what we're doing, right, or what all of you are doing, could fail if you lose your inner swagger, if you don't build it up every single day. Let's look at another person that had inner swagger. You probably remember this guy, John F. Kennedy. In 1961, May 25th, in Houston, Texas, where the immortal JT lives and was born, John F. Kennedy stood at Rice Stadium and said to the world, or said to the U.S. especially, we're going to land a man on the moon before the end of this century. Now, that was pretty ridiculous because we weren't even close to doing it. There were 2 metals that needed to be invented that we didn't even know about, by the way, at the time he said it, for a spaceship to even go safely all the way to the moon and be able to come back. But his inner swagger not only persuaded probably people in his government, it persuaded a whole country. It persuaded a team of scientists to work like crazy to build something that actually at the time wasn't possible, but they made it possible. And I love what Nelson Mandela said. He said, everything's impossible until somebody does it. Right? Someone could look at your business and they go, oh, it's impossible for you to get to where you want to go. Yeah, everything's impossible until you do it. And the reason or the way you do it is with your inner swagger. So next slide, please. So awesome. So I want to give you 3 little strategies to build up your inner swagger. And the first one is you got to get rid of your old crap. The thoughts, the memories, the the feelings that keep popping up that threaten your inner swagger. And just think confidence if you don't like the word inner swagger, but I kind of like that, your inner swagger, like just showing up with just that ability to make things happen when other people might not even see it, the ability to persuade other people to have confidence in something when they have doubts. And the first thing we have to do, and you have to do this every single day, I do a little process every morning, and I do it every night, where part of it is I get rid of my old crap. Now look at this picture. The crap looks kind of cute, right? Got a little smile on its face, got those big eyes, and that's what your crap will try and do, right? Your old stuff, it'll kind of like, hey, you know, I'm over here. Don't get rid of me, right? You know, I'm the one that's just trying to help you understand, you know, you might fail. I don't want you to be disappointed. No, get rid of that. You've got to start taking your life to the next level. And whatever your brain is holding on to, if it's old crap, that's what you're going out into the world with. Some of you might be struggling a little bit with the Prime My Body business right now. Well, if that's happening, I guarantee you one of the reasons that's happening is you're trying to carry some of your old crap into this great new business. Now, I'm not saying just getting rid of the old crap will automatically make your life perfect and amazing. It's the first step though. So how do you, let's, before we even talk about how do you get rid of your old crap, go to the next slide, Austin. Look at this picture. Look at this. Starting at a little boy, look how cute he was, right? With his mom. And then you can see later on and at the Raiders game, going to a Raiders game, this picture is Anthony Robles and then his mother's there. So one thing that is interesting about Anthony, and you can see it in the last picture, the one down at the right-hand side, he actually only has one leg. He has a left leg, he does not have a right leg. He was born that way. And what happened when he was born, his mother, they were low income. His mother, beautiful lady you can see, but she did not know that he was going to be born with only one leg. She thought, hey, normal kid, you know, probably pretty excited. He comes out and the doctors bring the baby to her and he's missing a leg. And she said the first thing that went through her head was, oh my God, you know, this is terrible. And she said she cried for 2 days. And because she was worried about this child and how he would grow up and how people would treat him. And then after 2 days, she had a reality check. She said, look, we have a choice. I can either be sad and feel like a victim. And if I feel that way, he's going to feel that way. And he's going to carry that through his life. And, you know, she didn't say the word inner swagger, but I'm sure she knew if he was carrying that through his life, always feeling like not enough, not good enough, that he's going to have a tough life. And so she made a decision. She made a decision to instill in him high levels of confidence, high levels of belief, high levels of inner swagger. And she said, look, I don't know why this happened, right? Internally, she said that to herself. But she knows this. I know that God doesn't make mistakes. That was her belief. And so my son was born this way for a reason. He was born this way to do something that he never could have done had he had 2 legs like everybody else. And she started telling this child that from an early age, you are special. You were born to do something amazing in this life. And the kid started having confidence at a young age. And yeah, I'm sure he got teased. I'm sure people, you know, staring and looking, but his mom just told him, hey, the reason they're staring, you're here to do something special. You're not like everyone else. Don't even try and think you're like everyone else. You're here to do something that the world needs you to do. And so he's trying to figure out what it is. And, you know, he liked athletics. One of his cousins was a wrestler. He goes, I'll wrestle. And so he got into wrestling. And at first he wasn't very good because he was doing it the same way everyone else was doing, but he never let his belief shatter. He never let his swagger go down. Even as he was losing matches because he was standing up on one leg without much leverage and getting beat, he had that inner belief, that inner swagger. And what it allowed him to do was experiment. And so in the midst of not succeeding, he was trying different things. And he finally figured out, hey, I'm not going to stand up to start. I'm going to get down on the floor. I'm going to make them come down to me. And he did. And he started winning matches. And so he becomes a high school state champion. And yet, even with that, he didn't get a lot of colleges recruiting him because he just wasn't what they were used to seeing, right? You know, a guy with only one leg, even though he was a champion. And so he got a couple scholarship offers. He goes to Arizona State. He comes up with this crazy, audacious result that he wanted to accomplish. He wanted to win a national championship. And people kind of, you know, tried to talk him out of it, but his inner swagger was so high. He goes, look, I'm going to do it. And the first couple of years didn't come anywhere close. He got to the NCAA tournament, but didn't get anywhere close. But he never gave up because he knew he was here to do something special. And so his junior year, he goes into the NCAA tournament. He's got high hopes. He makes it to the final 8, and he loses. And everyone's like, oh, this is awesome. You made it to the final 8. He goes, no, that's not what I'm going for. I'm a national champion. He had that inside of him. And so he goes into his senior year, and he wins the national championship. And Austin, can you go to the next slide, please? And so this is him at the national championship. And you can see, you know, this is his quote, "My spirit is unconquerable. I don't care what's probable. Through blood, sweat, and tears, I am unstoppable." That's inner swagger. And it was funny because when you do something big, you know, there's always going to be people that go, oh, well, you know, he had an advantage. Like, I don't know what his advantage was, but people were saying that. And I met him one time, and I started studying kind of what people were saying. And they said, yeah, you know, he's got an advantage with only one leg. And so there was a reporter that interviewed him, and I watched this, and they said, you know, some people are saying you have an advantage. How do you respond to that? And he said, well, you know, he's so cool about it. He was a very nice guy. He goes, you know, I guess, you know, maybe I do have an advantage. He said, because most people, you know, they're used to wrestling someone with 2 legs. And when they come to wrestle me and only have 1 leg, they're probably not used to it. So, you know, I probably do have a little advantage there. You know, I'm used to wrestling people with 2 legs, but they're not used to wrestling me. I thought, well, that's pretty cool. And then the interviewer, though, wanted more. He goes, well, you know, okay, that's good. What other advantages do you have? And so he goes, Anthony Robles goes, well, the other advantage I guess I have, if I really think hard about it, is that, you know, I don't have a prosthesis. So I have to use crutches. And so I go around all day on crutches, which gives me, you know, incredible hand strength and upper body strength. And the interviewer's going, yeah, that could do that. Okay, wait a minute, hold on. Crutches is his advantage? Because anyone can do crutches. If you really want to, get some crutches and you can build your hand. I don't think anyone's going to do that. But that is just the kind of guy this is, inner swagger. So next slide, please, Austin. I want you to think about, I want you to do a little bit of work here. I want you, rather than just listening to me talk about other people, I want you to think about yourself. What's a thought, an emotion, or experience that comprises some of your old crap? Like I've had them every day. I'm trying to figure out, all right, what's stopping me? I told the group in Cancun, you know, in the beginning, in my early life, I was just like super shy. And I used to describe myself, I'm shy. I'm not that person that's outgoing. I never wanted to do anything like this. But as long as I held on to that label, I'm shy, it prevented me from having the level of confidence that was in me, just like it's in you. Your confidence is in you. It's waiting to come out, but this crap is getting in the way. It's keeping it from coming out. So I want you to write down something. I can't see you, but write down something you want to get rid of. And I'm going to give you 2 strategies to get rid of it. The most recent thing that I've gotten rid of is a couple years ago, I just noticed, you know what? I've had a lot of success, but I just sometimes seem to make things harder than it needs to be. And because I had this belief, like, you know, if it's too easy, it's probably not good, right? And so some things are going to be easy. No, some things are going to be challenging. I don't have a problem with that, but not everything has to be that way. And so I got rid of that old belief. So what is it that's stopping you right now? Take 15, 20 seconds, write down one thing, and then I want to give you a couple strategies to get rid of it. But please, everybody, like, if you don't write this down, it's going to stay inside of you. If you write something down right now, you got a chance of getting it out. But if you're just sitting there, okay, 15 seconds, everyone's going to write, let me check my text, then you're going to hold on to whatever that crap is inside of you. So write something down right now. Let's get rid of it. I'm going to let you think for just a couple more seconds. And then Austin, let's go to the next slide because we're on a pretty tight time frame here. So this is something I learned from Tony Robbins a long time ago in neurolinguistic programming. What happens is we get kind of the old crap. It runs on a loop. It just keeps going round and round and round. And so as long as we let it do that and don't interrupt it, it'll stay there. It'll keep going over and over and over. And if you don't stop it, this old crap that right now is stopping you from having the level of confidence you want to have, it may stay with you till the day you die. And that would be really sad. Like something you could have gotten rid of, staying with you, hurting you, keeping you from getting to where you want to be. And so I know you want to get rid of it. Here's a strategy to get rid of it. When you notice yourself feeling an emotion you don't want to feel, when you notice yourself thinking a thought you don't want to have, when you notice yourself bringing up an old memory of something that didn't go right and you just feel terrible about it or you feel disempowered by it, here's what you got to do. You've got to interrupt it. If you were talking, if you're trying to talk to me and every 2-3 seconds I'm like interrupting you, you'd go, hey, all right, I'm not even going to talk anymore. Well, that's what we want our old crap to do. We want our old crap to go, I'm not even going to come back to you anymore. And you go, fine, I don't need you anymore. So how do you interrupt it? You use, these are called pattern interrupts, but a powerful gesture is a way to interrupt. Like when you're not feeling good, you go, everybody do that right now. 3 claps. Come on, I can't see if you're doing it, but right now, just go. Yeah, or just bam, or bang the table in front of you. Sorry if I shook the camera there. Just a powerful gesture, a clearing breath, kind of just let it all out. A brisk walk, shouting out something like, yes, banging the drums, clapping your hands, just kind of jumping up and down like you see athletes do, or listening to music. You know what JT listens to before every presentation? I'm actually going to give you like a little inner secret of what he does. On his playlist of pump-up songs, and you'll see him sometimes with the headphones in. You probably wouldn't guess it, but his #1 pump-up song is, "This Girl Is on Fire." JT, am I right? He's on mute. But
you're correct.
Yeah, see, I nailed it. This Girl's on Fire. That gets him so pumped up. But powerful music, something that interrupts it. And so here's what I'm asking you to do. Notice when the crap is showing up and then do something right away to interrupt it. And keep interrupting it until it's gone. Thank you, Austin. Way to go, brother. Maybe it's Austin's too. I don't know. So
more mine than JT's.
Okay. Well, but JT needs to copy it then. But powerful music. Get yourself a little playlist that you listen to when your crap starts showing up. You feel a little bit down. Like you've got to get yourself. You got to shock the system. And the reason that powerful language and gestures and jumping up and down works is because whenever we move our body, like shake your hand. Everyone shake your hand like this right now. Shake it. Come on. And stop. See, what you were doing is you were shaking that hand. You were firing electrical impulses all the way up to your brain, your nervous system. And it was changing whatever was in there, because the nervous system was like, wow, what's going on, right? Why is shaking the hand? Or why are they jumping up and down? And so whatever thought that was in there gets kind of interrupted. So this is something you can do. Another one, we shared this with the Cancun people. Next slide, please, Austin, is the shredder. The shredder is, imagine having yourself having inside your head a little shredder. And when something shows up, giving your brain a picture of just shredding, zzz, zzz, a million different pieces. Now, that is a silly little mind game. And guess what? Everything's a mind game. The fact that you're holding on to an old belief is a mind game. The fact that you're letting somebody else influence you or destroy your confidence is a mind game. The fact that you're letting someone else allow you to become more confident or influence you to become more confident, that's a mind game too. So if everything's a mind game, let's at least play the mind game where we get to win. And so imagine an emotion where you just close your eyes for a second and just shred it. Imagine a thought that you shred where the brain goes, the brain gets the message, no, we don't want this. She told me to shred it. And so the shredder is another little tool you can use. So pattern interrupts and also the shredder. Once you identify, start using those tools like crazy whenever you notice yourself showing up with your old crap. Now, second thing, next slide, please, Austin. Second thing is you got to create a badass mantra. You've got to have a little go-to set of sayings or little taglines that pump you up, that instill confidence in you. And it's a daily job that we all have. No, the world doesn't guarantee us confidence. Like you wake up today, you turn on the TV, guarantee you, if you buy into everything on the TV that you're going to hear, on the news, you're going to have less confidence. I wake up probably naturally with confidence a portion of the time, but sometimes I wake up and I'm tired. I did not get enough sleep. And I've got to get myself to that confident place. And so having a mantra, her name is Sandy Bertha. She's one of Richard Marriott's daughters, but she is an athlete I worked with, and the group in Cancun heard the story, but she was really struggling. And she was ranked number 2 in the world in the sport you can see her doing on this PowerPoint slide. But she was struggling. She was getting beat. She'd never beaten the number 1, but she was getting beat by the number 3, the number 4, the number 5 competitors in her sport. But she didn't have the right mantra in her head. She was like showing up thinking, I'm not ready. She didn't have that inner swagger. She would feel tight when she got in the water. She would look at the judges and think, you're going to hate my routine. And because of that, not because of lack of talent, there's not one person on this call that lacks enough talent to be incredibly successful in this business. Every single one of you have within you the talents, the abilities, if you bring them out, to be wildly successful in this business. But if you don't have the inner swagger, that talent will be trapped, and it'll be trapped the rest of your life. This is really important, what I'm sharing with you, not because I'm saying it, but it's really important for all of us. I had to learn it. It was something that changed my life when I learned this. So you need a mantra. Once Sandy created a mantra that allowed her, she got rid of her crap, she had this mantra, she not only won the world championship and beat this person that had never been beaten before, she'd never beat her. And, Sandy had always come in second for like 5-6 years and ended up beating this person. And then coming back the next year and beating her again, but she set the world record for the most points ever scored. And it was because she already had that talent in her. When she had the inner swagger, the talent was able to come out. Some of your talent, some of my talent is being trapped right now. We've got to work harder to get it out. So what are some examples of that? Go to the next slide, please, Austin. Here's some thoughts maybe, and you don't need this many. I would suggest for your mantra, I'm going to show you a couple examples. I'm going to show you one I did for my family years ago, which is too long probably, but it was 20 years ago or something like that I first did it. But here's some things you can start saying to yourself, always find a way to win. There's a trophy back there that you can see. It's kind of just a funny one I put there, but I won a poker tournament in 2005, and I don't even know how to play poker. I mean, I really don't. I played once in college, 15, 20 years before. But I told myself, my mantra was, I made great decisions. I found a way to win. I had this little mantra going in, and I figured out a way to win, right? Without really any training, and guys spent like 10, 15 minutes with me showing me the hands. That's what we can all do. We can bring out this higher level of performance. I thrive under pressure, right? I make outstanding decisions. I love leading my team. Paul asked me to put the one in the bottom there. I would do my job for free. I'm just kidding. Paul would never ask me to do that. but you should have like a passion about what you're doing. Think about what we're doing in this business, changing lives. I mean, the product is amazing, and the impact we're going to have on people beyond the product and coming to be part of this family that we're creating is just incredible. So come up with some things that you're telling yourself every day, every morning, that instill that confidence in you. Let me give you a couple examples. So go to the next slide, please, Austin. This is, again, it didn't format right, so I'm gonna have to read it. And I look really awkward there too, but this is my little mantra is, I get 1% better every day. I positively impact 1 billion people. And again, that's not me talking to 1 billion people directly, but sharing ideas with you on Inner Swagger. Hopefully you go share that with somebody. So there's this ripple networking effect. And then the third one, which I can't even see on mine, but it's, I'm a rainmaker. And so I just tell myself, I'm a rainmaker. I go and do my best to make opportunities come easier and faster for everyone around me. I want to just make it rain opportunities and positive energy. And so that's my little mantra. That's my mantra that I use when every day, just kind of get myself going. It's what I go into the day with. It gives me that inner swagger. Go to the next slide, please, Austin. These are the Navy SEALs. The Navy SEALs are amazing people, but from the person they were, which is pretty cool before they come into the Navy SEALs, to who they become when they actually make the Navy SEALs team and afterwards, it's a huge shift. But look at some of their mantras. I'm never out of the fight. If it doesn't suck, we don't do it. They actually want the toughest jobs. Pays to be a winner. JT's all in all the time. I persevere and thrive in adversity. These are things that they tell themselves in their mantra every day. Next slide, please, Austin. This is my family. You can see my wife, my beautiful daughter, our dog Yogi, who's quite the character. If you come by our house at some point in time, you'll meet him. He will be the first one to greet you, my son. But this is our little creed that my wife and I created when the kids were little. And you can see, I hope you can read it, but today I give thanks for all that I am and all that I have. This little mantra to create that little confidence and just like optimism going into the day. Today I treat everyone I see with kindness, love, and respect. Today I do my very best in everything I do. Today I do my very best to improve my skills, health, and attitude. Today I focus on the positive in every area of my life. Today I create wealth and abundance for myself and all those around me. And think about this. When my kids were little and I would drive them to school, we would go through this. I would say it and they'd be in the back seat. They'd be in, kindergarten and third grade. Our daughter's a little older, our son. And I'd say, today I create wealth and abundance for myself and all those around me. And then they would go, today I create wealth and abundance for myself and all those around me. Then we'd end with the final one. I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. And I'm a leader. And then they would say it. And then they would get out of the car and go to kindergarten or third grade or whatever grade they were in at the time. So pretty comical, but think about, even for your family, creating a little creed that if you have younger children, they can start to follow. So it's up to you. You're either going to go into every day with thoughts in your head already. Why not choose them? Why not choose some that give you that inner swagger? And next slide, please, Austin. So the third thing that you've got to do, think about the first two. Get rid of your old crap, create a badass mantra, something that you can go to that just makes you feel good. And badass doesn't have to be arrogant. It shouldn't be arrogant, but it should make you feel good, like you really have what it takes to go out and help people. You really have what it takes to go out and make a positive change in the world. Steve Jobs, one of my favorite quotes from him, he said, we're all here to make a dent in the universe. I want all of you to make a bigger dent. I want you to make huge dents, dents that get noticed. And these are positive dents where someone can see it and they can say, my life got better because of you being in my life. And I know there's already plenty of people that will say that about every single one of you. There's more people that need you. And you're only going to get to them if you fight through getting rid of the old crap. that's stopping you. Your old crap will kind of keep you right where you are. You've got to outgrow yourself. That's what life is about. And then you're going to create your badass mantra. And then number 3 is you got to stick to your story. And this is really a critical one. This picture is West Point, U.S. Military Academy. And my dad went there, and actually my youngest brother went there. But when you get there, when you first arrive at West Point, what they do is because everyone comes in, they're like, yeah, I got accepted here. I'm committed, let's go, whatever it takes. And then what they do is they put you through something the first month. It's called Beast Barracks. And you're not even at the physical location. They take you out, and they just put you through unbelievable challenges. And they want to see, are you someone who has grit? Are you going to stick to your mantra? Are you going to bring out that confidence even when it's incredibly hard and tough? And there's every reason and every excuse that you can justify for you to quit. Are you one of those people? And sure enough, some people do quit. Just like in any business, some people will quit. I mean, when I was running Tony Robbins sales and marketing, we had lots of people, oh yeah, I want to be part of this. I want to go out, change the world. And then they would go out and it didn't work out for them right away. And some people fell away. And yet the people that still to this day are some of my very, very best friends are the ones that never quit. They stayed with it. And they became incredibly successful, not only at that company, but now they have huge businesses. And it's because they just instilled within them that I'm going to stick to my story no matter what. The next slide is a lady that is a really cool story. And again, you would all recognize her. It's Celine Dion. And this is a version or picture of her as an adult. But when she was, I think it was 12 or 13 years old, she knew she had talent. But she hadn't been discovered yet. And so back then, many, many years ago, the way you got discovered was, you tried to hopefully get discovered locally. She was up in Canada, but you sent out demo tapes. And so she was sending out demo tapes to all the record labels, and no one was calling her back. And she was 12. Like, for most 12-year-olds, you send out demo tapes and no one's calling you, like, oh, I guess I'm just not, they don't like me. And there's every reason for her to have given up and quit. But you know what she did? She picked up the phone and she called. She had the courage and the confidence and the inner swagger to call an executive at one of the record companies and got through somehow, right? Don't even know how she did it. She got through this executive, and gets the executive, and the executive goes, hello. And she goes, she said, hello, I'm Celine Dion. She goes, I sent you a demo tape, and I was just curious, what did you think of it? Now, the executives hadn't listened to it because they get thousands of demo tapes. But she wanted to kind of, she realized this was a younger child and she was going to be kind. She goes, oh, well, I guess it wasn't that kind what she said. Oh, yeah, we listened to it and it was pretty good, but, it's not what we're looking for right now. But keep trying. It was pretty good. Now, Celine Dion knew that her demo tape was not pretty good. She knew it was freaking amazing. Just like this opportunity you have is not pretty good, it's amazing. And so she said to the record executive, she said, you didn't listen to it, did you? Now think of a 12-year-old saying that. And the record executive was like, let me get back to you. And she she got the number and hung up the phone. But then she said, you know what? Go look for this Celine Dion's audition tape. And I want to listen to that. So out of all the ones there, the one that she listened to was Celine Dion's. And sure enough, it was amazing. And she called her back, and the rest is history. How strong are you in your inner swagger just in your life? How strong is your confidence? How easily do you give up? Paul said something interesting in Cancun. He said, I wish people, when they came into the business, would just say, right up front, I'm a quitter. I give up really easily. I probably won't be here very long because the first thing that goes wrong, I'm going to run the other way. I know that's not the way you are. Or even if it was the way you are up till now, now's the time to change. Now's the time to step up to a different level. And those of you that already have lots of inner swagger, I'm going to ask you to step it up another notch because the world needs you to show up with even more confidence. You will be challenged. You know that. You know today someone's probably going to challenge you on, maybe the price or why is it important, or network marketing. I mean, there's lots of different things that people are going to challenge you on. The question you've got to ask yourself is, am I ready? Do I have my inner swagger ready so that bring it on, bring me some challenges. I'm not afraid of it, right? That's the way that I encourage you to show up in your life. And that's the way that I hope and pray you will, not just for your success in business. It's going to be your success in everything. It's going to be the way you show up when this virus is around. Are you scared to death of the virus? Or you're just like, it's a virus. It's out there. And you know what? I'm strong. My immune system's strong. I know that I'm going to be fine. That's the kind of inner swagger I think we can all start to embrace and start to show the world. So thank you guys so much for allowing me to be part of the team. I truly feel privileged to be able to work with all of you, and you've got the most amazing leadership team on the planet. They really do have their hearts in the right place, and I think you're not going to find another company with the quality of human beings and the people that will do what's right for you no matter what. And I saw examples of that in decisions that we were talking about even just this past week with Paul and JT and Austin and all the field leaders. So you're an amazing place. I can't wait to play with you and meet all of you and support you in any way I can. And thank you so much for allowing me to be part of your day-to-day. Go out there with inner swagger today. Have an amazing day.